my advice.
Like what?
Like, don't go to a white girl parent's house.
She doing licking your balls or something?
Yeah, bye.
You know what I'm saying, Chris?
Slumdog. So normally when you think of romantic films, you may think of movies like Titanic, The Notebook, Casablanca, La La Land, Bonnie and Clyde, A Star is Born, Gone with the Wind, hell, even Lady and the Tramp. And for those who want to get spicy, 50 Shades of Grey. And out of all the movies I just named, my favorite one is The Titanic. Leonardo DiCaprio is absolutely amazing in his role as Jack. Also the incredible scene that you can never forget when Jack was in the water with Rose on top of the picture frame trying to survive. That scene right there is a classic. But now let's get into some notable romantic films with black leads that your rich auntie was probably super obsessed with. These include Poetic Justice, Brown Sugar, The Photograph, Two Can Play That Game, Love Don't Cost a Thing, Why Did I Get Married, About Last Night, and one that always seems to be popping up on this channel, Love and Basketball. Now, Love and Basketball is a film that I put in my black films that are secretly horror movies. I put it in that video, also shameless plug to that video, so go ahead, watch that video. Now, what makes the films that I named stand out is their close relatability to relationships in culture. How certain ideals are normalized in unstable environments, which leads to unstable outcomes. Or how toxicity is seen as something to entertain, only causing self-sabotage to substance and meaning down the road. But these films also show honesty and reconciliation after the rough patches, making it universally relatable regardless of race. Relationships go through their ups and downs, but the movies I'm about to talk about today, well, I pray none of these horror stories has happened to you.
A big piece of the premise to get out is that you have this white girl bringing a black guy home and maybe hasn't thought through all the social ramifications of that. She assumes her family's going to be fine with it. They turn out to be, but there are some subtler works at play that we begin to see are part of something much more sinister.
Now, the first one on the list had a huge cultural impact and one of my favorite movies of all time. It's one of those movies that you can say occurs once in a blue moon. The movie Get Out released February 24th, 2017 and stars Daniel Kaluuya as Chris Washington, a black photographer who visits his white girlfriend's family estate for the weekend. What begins as an awkward but seemingly normal trip quickly turns unsettling as he notices strange behavior from the black servants and the family's friends. As the tension builds, Chris uncovers a horrifying secret tied to racism and exploitation. He must rely on his instincts to escape before becoming the next victim. Now, first off, I want to say this. I'm surprised this film got made, okay? I was watching an interview and I remember Jordan Peele saying himself, he's surprised this film really got made. It has to do with an interracial couple and very real topics and events that happen in real life when it comes to the relationship dynamic and what black people kind of fear going into or aware of going into, you know, their other counterparts' household. Another thing is this has to be hands down one of the best theater experiences I've ever had. When the whole theater is all in unison, all wanting something to happen or something not to happen is just, it's a theater experience that cannot be replicated. But now let's get into why it is horror. Why were people on the floor? Why are people screaming, cheering, shouting? There's two scenes that I want to bring up that exemplify this horror. Chris and Rose's relationship at first seems healthy and normal. She presents herself as supportive and unconcerned with race, even though Chris initially is hesitant. She consistently reassures Chris before he meets her family, but then a turn happens when this healthy relationship turns out to be a facade. Her role not only enforces the systemic imbalance in interracial relationships, but also the fetishization of black bodies, looking at them as Olympic trophies, which this film makes a nod to. It's a very real thing, and another movie that exemplifies this fetishization of black bodies is the movie One Battle After Another exemplifies this as well, but they focus more on women. This is a straight up horror disguised as meeting of the parents romance tale. The relationship pulls Chris in psychological and physical terror. But now before I get into the two scenes, I do want to say that there are honorable mentions. The auction scene, the therapy scene, the surgery scene, and the get out scene with Lakeith Stanfield. Those are all scenes that I could talk about for days, but we have to stay on topic with the theme of it being romance. So let's get into the first scene. So the first scene I want to focus on is when Rose reveals her true character. Seeing the complete turn of the girlfriend's face from emotional to expressionless. This has to be one of the most obvious twists that caught me off guard. And normally I'm the type of person in my head, I'm like, oh, I already know they're gonna go with that. I already know it. But this caught me off guard. Maybe it's because I was just 16, I don't know. But I really believed her. When she was looking through the keys and she was trying to find it, I was like, oh my gosh, she can't find it, Chris, she can't find it. When she held the keys up, that's my fault. That's my fault for believing her. That's my fault for believing her. And then the photos of the past bodies she's been with, not just, oh, how many people she, no. She had like literal bodies, like humans she turned completely around, you know? If you gonna look me in the eyes and say that's not horror, I don't know what is. Now the second scene I wanna talk about is when Chris finally leaves the house. He's about to escape, but then Rose intervenes with a shotgun. Man, when I tell you the theater lost their minds, when Chris had both his hands around this girl's neck, everyone was elated, like, oh man, he got away from this situation. He's about to just get rid of this girl and leave. But then we see the blue lights. You see the blue lights. And then that TSA worker, man, that TSA worker comes through and saves the day. One of the most relieving endings in cinema history. Nonetheless, a true horror story. But now let's move on to the next.
I wanted to show like there are black people that have a myriad of emotions and issues and things that they think about and, you know, fears that everyone else does and make it a very universal story, but it just has this cultural specificity of being black.
Second on this list is the movie The Best Man. The Best Man released October 22nd, 1999 by Malcolm D. Lee and is about Harper Stewart, an aspiring author who reunites with his college friends for a wedding weekend. His new novel, which is based on real events, contains secrets that threaten to expose his friends' past relationships. As tensions rise, friendships are tested, and loyalties are questioned. The group must confront their truths while celebrating love and growth. Now, the first time I watched this movie was very recently because I was doing research for this video, and when I saw that there was a dude who was breaking all types of bro code, who was kissing and telling, who was revealing all, that irked me to my soul to the point where I was like, okay, let me look into this movie. And man, it is horror. It is 100% horror. He broke bro code, pillow talking, like what happened to keeping it smooth? I was also very surprised by this star-studded cast. This movie includes Taye Diggs as Harper Stewart, Nia Long as Jordan Armstrong, Morris Chestnut as Lance Sullivan, Terrence Howard as Quentin Spivey, Senna Lathan as Robin, and Regina Hall as Candy, who shows up later in the film. An amazing cast selection, and the story itself, I found myself to be very, very, very intrigued. This movie, I had a blast with it. I was laughing, and the best part of this movie being, for me, Terrence Howard's character, he was the highlight for me. To me, he stole the movie. It's extremely funny because of him. He has a lot of funny moments, and I really enjoy his character. But now let's get into why this is horror. There's two scenes that demonstrate the horror that goes on in this movie. The first one being when all of Lance's friends are at the table playing cards and discuss relationships and marriage before things take a turn as the conversation gets deeper. Quentin questions Lance about his certainty that his future wife, Mia, has never slept with anyone other than him. Lance is sure, but Quentin continues to question him, knowing the truth that his best friend Harper has, even though back in college, Harper told him she has never been with anyone else. Oh man, the feeling of everyone knowing, that your girl has been with someone else and you're the only one who doesn't know, that is something that I don't wish on my worst enemy. That is something I don't wish on any of my viewers. This is just haunting, and every guy knows they never want to happen. But this scene demonstrates how even the people close to you won't let you know all of the truth if that means protecting themselves. Crazy work. But the next scene is even worse. When Lance ends up reading the book after he notices Harper tried to hide it from him in his jacket at his bachelor's party, it reveals that Harper, his best man, slept with Mia, his bride. It's a cold, cold world. And the worst part is you find out at your bachelor's party. You're about to get married to this girl. That anger is unmatched, and honestly, I wouldn't have blamed him if he threw him off that balcony. But I would have not gone through with the wedding. But hey, movie magic, I guess. Let's move on, because that might be scarier than Get Out. It's possibly someone's reality. I rebuke that.
It starts off and it's a rom-com, and then it becomes this horror film, and then, it's a love story that also has was comedy, you know? So it really reflected life to me and how we walk through life. And I like that it couldn't be defined.
Up next, we have the movie Queen and Slim, and once again stars Daniel Kaluuya. I remember watching this movie for the first time, and man, this one's a heavy watch. The movie Queen and Slim released on November 27th, 2019, and is directed by Melina Matsuakus. I definitely butchered that name. I apologize. The film is about a tense first date where we see Angela Johnson, known as Queen, and Ernest Hines, known as Slim, being pulled over by a police officer, leading to a violent, life-altering encounter. Forced to go on the run, the pair become fugitives while grappling with fear, trust, and their evolving relationship. Their journey across America turns them into symbols of resistance and injustice. As their bond deepens, they must decide what freedom and sacrifice truly means. The performance in it was absolutely amazing. Daniel Kaluuya, once again, one of the greatest actors of our generation. He's phenomenal in everything he does. Queen, played by Jodie Turner, also was very good, and I believe this was her film debut. The story was rushing and keeps you locked in for a majority of the movie, although there were times where I was like, it kind of becomes redundant, you know, like how many times did they stop at a gas station? But now let's get into why this is horror. The first horror scene shows Queen and Slim getting pulled over after their first date. They cooperate with the officer and expect for things to not get out of hand. The officer decides to escalate the situation by searching the vehicle because of his unknown suspicion. After he finds nothing, he gets frustrated and draws his weapon at Slim, causing Queen to get out the car to de-escalate the situation, but gets shot in the process. This causes Slim to knock the gun from the officer's hand, causing a tussle to occur. Slim ends up breaking free, grabbing the loose gun and shooting the police officer. Now these two are on the run. And although they're on the run for self-defense, they know everyone else won't view it as such. This is a direct correlation to police brutality that happens in America today and what's been happening. How a simple traffic stop can escalate quickly and end in tragedy. This journey of them being on the run leads them to the ultimate horror of the film, which takes place in the second scene I want to talk about. Queen's uncle, Uncle Earl, he organizes the couple to flee to Cuba via plane and organizes it to happen. After a long journey, they finally arrive at the plane waiting for them to escape. Before they get on, an entire fleet of police swarm them. It's at this time we find out what we always knew. Their fate was sealed the second they got pulled over. While they're standing there in awe that the police caught them right when they're about to escape, they have a brief convo. The police draw their weapons, and this starts one of the saddest moments of the film.
Get on the ground now!
Can I be your legacy?
You already are.
Not even a few seconds after, she gets shot by the cops. This film's horror lies in the uncertain protection the police provides. When getting pulled over feels like Russian roulette based on how the officer feels that day. But now let's move on to our next horror film.
The way we described it at the time was that go in through, you'd make a film that like you could go in through the drama door, find some rooms of comedy in the house, and then leave through the drama door. That was kind of the approach.
Now, the last movie on this list is a movie that I've seen clips of, seen people talk about, seen people reiterate. Love Jones released March 14th in 1997 and is directed by Theodore Witcher. This film is about a character named Darius Lovehall, played by Lorenz Tate, who is a poet, and Nina Mosley, played by Nia Long, who's a photographer in Chicago's art scene. Their connection is immediate but complicated by past relationships and personal ambitions. As they drift apart and come back together, both struggle with vulnerability and timing. Ultimately, they must decide if their love is strong enough to overcome life's uncertainties. Like I said, this film is one of the movies that you kind of have to watch. It's a black staple, you know, it's a film staple, but it's also a black staple, you know? It's one of those films like Love and Basketball that you just have to see. Like, have you seen Love Jones? Have you seen Love Jones? Like, you have to, like, how have you not seen Love Jones? Lorenz Tate and Nia Long are great in this film, and the dynamic that they have is great. Now, the tone and vibe of this movie I really enjoyed. I like the jazz scenes, the poet scenes. It was calming, it was very relaxing. I like the tone of this movie and the music that's in it. It's really, really refreshing. But man, this push and pull dynamic that they have going on, very toxic and very much horror. Darius and Nina meet at an open mic in Chicago. He becomes continuously persistent towards pursuing her, and they begin to build their relationship. They argue to be friends, even though clearly crossing boundaries sexually. The horror comes from past exes, push and pull dynamics, and emotional instability. And now there's two scenes that make this movie an emotional horror roller coaster. The first one being when Nina tells him she's going back to her ex and he has to act like he doesn't care, but you know he does, as we can see by the next scene.
Because if old boy was doing his job in the first place, why am I doing it?
I'm hit.
Why am I hitting it? I don't get stole on.
I feel you, D.
This starts the chain of something inconsistent and Darius is forced to move on. The horror on the woman's side is returning to a past you moved on from just to leave again, then see someone new you were talking to, move on just as quickly as you left, then go on another date with someone new to start that cycle again. This is a toxic cycle of just playing games. You know you want to be with the person, but at the same time don't want to make a move and make it seem too serious than what it is. This passive behavior leads to the next scene. The house party scene where Nina's new love interest brings her to the house party knowing Darius and his friends are there to stunt as the person who took Nina from Darius. She has no knowledge of what she's walking into. For Nina, she's embarrassed and this gives her a bad look. For Darius, this makes him feel betrayed. It's at this moment everything implodes. Darius's pride and Nina's indecision act like the antagonists. They hurt each other without intending to, drifting apart even though the connection is clearly genuine.
What the hell are you doing running around with my boy?
All you had to do was tell me that you were seeing somebody.
What are you talking about?
You have not given me any reason to trust anything that you said. Like
You don't know shit about trust, okay? You don't. You the one who went to New York and the old boy, came back here and hung out with my boys. You wanna talk about trust?
You acted like you didn't even care that I went to New York.
I don't even know what the you talking about. Look, why would you wanna be with somebody you don't trust? Gotta deal with this shit.
That feeling of almost having love, but losing it because of ego and timing can feel like quite the horror, especially because it's so realistic. Many of us have dealt with heartbreaks or wrong timing or it being our fault or the other person's fault because their ego was too inflated or they thought it was greener on the other side. A person you know you're extremely compatible with, a person you want to spend the rest of your life with, but yet you still question them. But yet you still test them, but yet you still touch on their insecurities, but yet you still play the games. Probably the most realistic out of all the movies on this list. No villain, no violence, just two people who could have worked, but let their ego and inconsistencies get in the way. This horror is specific, and one that you only get if you have felt. And one thing I noticed about all the directors is in interviews, they always say they try to make sure the movie has some form of a comedic tone. Although these can be realistic, horrific events, trying to find the comedic moments in that. But leave in the comments what you think are other love movies that could be considered as horror films. Thank you guys for watching. Hit the subscribe button. I'm out.